What's up, my little stalagmites? Thralls of Metal back here again. I am Shredlord.
I am Jammin Jon.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to give you an album review. This time we go over Horndal's Lake Drinker. They must be thirsty because that's quite a haul.
That's quite a lake. This also came out on the 9th of April on Prosthetic Records. This band formed in 2016 in Stockholm. This is their second album. They have one other EP, and this is kind of interesting in terms of like the blend of styles here. Once again, we get a kind of an interesting blend. This is sludge metal meets hardcore, and these guys have a very specific theme in terms of lyrics. Most of this is about urban decay, and essentially like corporations coming into town, promising a litany of jobs, and then hitting the road and leaving everyone high and dry with big vacant buildings. We're from a Rust Belt town, so this unfortunately makes all too much sense to us. But yeah, this is a really interesting blend of styles once again. Opening track, Rosen, not entirely sure how to pronounce that.
Rosen.
Somewhere between Entombed and High on Fire.
Yeah.
But even the intro guitar sounded a little death-like in nature.
I got like a little bit of death metal.
Sounded like the tone and the mix initially in this album to me sounded like the late 80s, early 90s thrash metal.
That's
what I thought we were going to get.
All over this.
Yep.
Yes.
But the tone, like, I don't know, like the more I listened to it, I don't know, it wasn't like the full-blown HM2, which I mean, when I saw Stockholm, I was like, yeah, there's a chance that might happen. But it kind of reminded me more of Entombed AD in terms of like they kind of had a little bit more muddy approach. But when it came down to like the overall energy in terms of the big stomping drums on this, High on Fire was super apparent. Now this song actually has a guest spot from someone in a Swedish death metal band. We have Johan Jansson, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, from Interment, actually doing some vocals on there and adding kind of his own death metal splash on this. But death metal is kind of something that's just lurking a little bit under the surface. Most of this really kind of screams that sludge metal hybrid with hardcore.
Most of it screams like sludge / stoner rock.
Yes. There's a grittiness and a kind of warmth to the tone.
High on Fire meets Mastodon.
Yeah. And I was kind of surprised, like, going through this, and this is, like, my third time listening to it, it's very, like, mid-tempo. Like, a lot of this is, like, kind of like a big, driving, mid-tempo stomp. And, I mean, when you have drums that sound as good as they do on this album, because they sound huge.
Yeah, like, dude, they're just big, beefy cannons. Oh. And there's nothing going on like blast beats or anything. Nope. Most of it's like.
Are we still talking about drums here? Big beefy cannons?
You heard me. You heard what I said.
I got excited. That's why I had to stop you.
Calm down. Oh. Calm down.
You gonna be all right?
I am now.
Pet your skull.
All right, breathe.
Woosa.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and most of it's just a straight rock beat for the most part.
From the meat cannons.
From the beefy meat cannons.
From the beefy meat cannons.
Don't you screw that up. The big, beefy meat cannon.
I mean, right away, yeah, I heard the giant accents they did with, like, the floor toms and those things. Again, it's one of those drum things I like. When the toms sound like they're, like, 10 feet wide. They're giant, and they kind of propel the song. But when it came down to, like, you know, like, the more punky stuff, I was kind of surprised. A lot of it is, again, more mid-tempo. Like, you get a little bit more, like, the D-beat stuff in Kalhaiget? I don't know how to say that word. I think it's
we didn't look it up.
Jumble.
Oh, well.
It's all right. I butchered it. But that one is actually like a straight-up D-beat song. Like, it has, like, that discharge energy, and within there, there's, like, some peppered in thrash riffs and harmonies, too.
Yes. The thrash riffs were a nice touch to this album.
So were the harmonies, too.
Yes.
And that guitar tone is perfect.
I wish there were more guitar harmonies, honestly. You got one right in the beginning. You got a few in the last couple tracks. And then we did get a instrumental track, Home.
Which is interesting. I have to say, like, all right, that one made me think about the theme of the album in terms of, like, their themes about urban decay. This starts off with, like, a really nice acoustic melody, and then you start hearing, like, it sounds like a radio announcer, but on a crackled radio. It's all in Swedish, so I have no idea what he's saying.
That's when Shred e-schlapped.
Yeah, he e-schlapped when he should have e-schlooped.
Schleeped instead of schlooped, and you never do that.
It's a common mistake.
It was a rookie move, though.
But it sounds like he's speaking to a crowd, and then towards the end of the song, going into Thor Bear, which, oh my God, Marvel, make it happen.
I would totally watch that.
I would watch that.
fucking sick.
Series, movie, whatever. But towards the end of Home, that track sort of like has that ending speech, and then you start hearing the crowd get ramped up, and then this song is pretty much what riled up the masses, and this is essentially the giant protest. And dude, I just love the energy on this song, but this one actually kind of embodied a little bit of their theme too, which I thought was interesting.
This is one of the gems of this album for sure. This is definitely a big gem of this album.
That and the Black Wheel.
Yes.
Too.
It's kind of interesting how the vocals are recorded because they have like a bit of like a static filter on them and a lot of reverb. So it kind of sounds like someone sort of bellowing and kind of growling into a bullhorn, which again kind of works with the whole, talk to the crowd and get them riled up because Google's moving out and they tore up your town.
And they ain't paying for shit.
They're not.
Even though Jeff Bezos could buy your town 10 times over.
And bulldoze it and then just leave.
After he pisses on the ashes.
You know what? I gotta say this real quick before you cut in. I'll never be able to look at Jeff Bezos again without seeing his South Park character. Have you ever seen Jeff Bezos' character in South Park?
No.
Where it's just the big brain,
Looks
and the
like a
brain
big
talks,
testicle.
but his mouth doesn't move. Yeah.
I saw the picture of him inside the giant robot, and now I am convinced he's Lex Luthor.
Well, if that happens, then we're going to have to talk about Town Burner, because we're going to have to burn the town down. Now, Town Burner is another barn burner that comes right after Thorbear, and I thought this was a pretty cool track as well. It has more of the whole drum track has that lo-fi,
Yeah, dude,
old
I
school
like that
crackle,
sound.
and that was an interesting way to start the track. And then obviously, after a couple cycles of that, boom, we're into full speed. There's some really nice guitar lines in this song, and one of my biggest questions is, why wasn't there more of these guitar melodies? They didn't have to be on every track, but when they were there, they were really good, which makes me question why weren't they used more?
See, the thing is, I don't know, like, when it came down to, like, the guitar harmonies and melodies, I think they saved them mostly for these interesting clean breaks, because there's a lot of clean guitar on here.
Yeah.
Like, they would kind of just drop out and, kind of just
Or
do these...
cleaner guitar.
Yeah, cleaner, or like, more dissonant, kind of melodic, kind of goth rock-ish? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, I found myself comparing it to, like, Tim Burton movies. Because, like, the second track on here, Horndal's Bloodbath, that's not saying the blood is bad, that's one word, is
Danny Elfman.
interesting because it has, like, this Danny Elfman thing, because there's little chimes and, like, a xylophone sound along with this kind of creepy, maybe spooky's the more appropriate word.
Ooh, the spookies.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like scary and unsettling. It's like, it's kind of whimsical. But again, it kind of shifts into like a full bore, like kind of stomper of a song. But there's these moments kind of peppered all over here, and I don't know. It seems like they kind of saved all the heavy stuff for like, all right, we'll just kind of riff out here, like get a chuggy.
I wanted to see some lead work, which there really wasn't a whole lot of.
No, not really. There was one, like, Kerry King's type solo.
Right, I thought it,
just
it was
went
a
dive crazy.
bomb.
Yeah. That was cool. I would have liked to hear more, though.
I mean, I think that was probably the hardcore side, because I mean, hardcore punk, not really known for lead work.
Sure.
Sludge maybe a little bit more, but I think they kind of just like doing like different harmonies and different like layered melodies for the most part in place of leads. A couple leads here and there wouldn't have been bad though.
So overall, I'm going to give this album a 3.5. I've never heard of this band before. I can definitely hear the Mastodon influences, and I thought they put together a really heavy and really well done album. I'll definitely be on the lookout for some of their other releases. I don't know, do they have any other?
One other
previous?
full length and an EP.
I'll give both of those a listen and see what's up. But yeah, I would definitely, if you're a fan of any of the bands we were talking about before, this is definitely an album for you. Go out and grab it.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5 too. I feel like if this would have came out late 2000s, around the time when other albums like this were coming out, I think it would have hit a little harder. But it's a great album. I really love the, like we said, beefy. What was it? Beefy
Meat cannon?
Beefy meat cannons.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the beefy meat cannon.
How could you
drums
forget?
and
My
the-
favorite part.
I like the old school kind of stoner rock feel that this has. And I like those big chunky riffs. It doesn't all have to be crazy death metal distorted all the time. This was done really well. The production on this is tits on a bore. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm actually going to give this a 4. I really enjoyed this. Again, the giant High on Fire vibes. I love the production. I think the production's absolutely
Excellent
amazing.
production.
I like the mix of the punk elements, the hardcore stuff, and all the sludgy elements. I kind of would have liked a little bit more faster material, but I mean, overall, I loved all the riffing. They do some clever stuff on guitars when it comes down to like clean melodies and harmonies. It's a fun album. I mean, it's riff city. Like, you're going to be banging your head throughout this entire thing. Maybe not in the little interlude, but you're probably not supposed to. But yeah, solid album. Strongly recommend checking out the band. I definitely am going to get a copy of this. I'll probably get a copy of their first one too, because this is good. Some good stuff.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah.
So, if you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you...
And the guy in the back, don't forget him.
Yeah,
and that person there, don't forget them. Like what you saw here, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously, and we greatly appreciate it. Also, we are now on Patreon, and we are going to use the Patreon to grow the Thralls community and start doing giveaways, all that awesome stuff. We look forward to growing this channel and growing our community with you, and I love you all.
Also, thank you. We hit 5,000 subs and never really
Which is why I love you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Dude.
For hitting, holy crap.
Thank you.
Beyond any of our expectations, I think.
Thank you, and you. And you.
And that guy in the back.
Don't forget the guy in the back.
Dude,
I can't believe you forget the guy in the back.
I'm so sorry, man.
He's probably a subscriber.
Bring him up here. But I digress. So, thank you again, and we are Thralls of Metal. We will catch you later.